And now, the President of the United States, John Tyler.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. I'm the 10th President of the United States. John Tyler is my name. I'm here to tell you all about my life. I was born March 29th, 1790. I was the 6th child of 8 kids in my family. My family lived in Greenway, Virginia when I was born. I lived with my siblings and parents. John and Mary Armistead Tyler were my parents. In 1797, a very sad thing happened in my family, though. My mother died. We were all very sad, but our father took care of us. When I was young, my father taught me to play the fiddle. 5 years after my mother died, I went to the College of William and Mary in Williamsburg, Virginia. I was only 12 years old. When I graduated 5 years later, I became interested in the law. When I turned 21, I became a lawyer, just like my father. After I became a lawyer, I met a beautiful young lady named Leticia Christian. She came from a very wealthy family, and so did I. We got married on March 29, 1813, which was my 23rd birthday. I thought I'd be nervous, but I was too happy to be worried. In 1812, I fought in a war. The war was called the War of 1812. Pretty easy to remember. That war was against the British. There was a rumor once that the British were coming, so I rallied my troops and we rushed down the stairs and fell down the stairs just to find out it was a false alarm. People called me Captain Tyler after that. 3 years later, Leticia and I had our first child. Her name was Mary. She was to be the oldest of our huge family. After our daughter's birth, I became friends with the president, James Madison. I wasn't president yet. When my daughter was only 6 years old, I became very sick. My family was worried, but I recovered. Shortly after my illness, I became the governor of Virginia. Now we have a new president, Andrew Jackson. He was the 7th president. That means we have 2 more presidents to go through till my presidency. 8 years after he became elected, I had 8 more children. Altogether, I have Mary, Robert, John, Leticia, Elizabeth, Anne, Alice, and Tazewell. In 1836, I ran for vice president, but since I didn't have much experience, I gave no speeches and no campaigning. Of course, I lost. Not surprising. 4 years later, I ran again. Apparently, I did better that time because I was elected as William Henry Harrison's vice president. My nickname was Old Tippecanoe. But I wasn't vice president for long. Only 1 month later, President Harrison died of pneumonia. I didn't know right away, though. I was sleeping at my home in Williamsburg, Virginia. A man named Fletcher Webster rushed to my house and knocked on the door. "The president has died," he yelled. I was brought to the Washington Hotel. Less than a day later, I became the 10th president. We had to do it so quickly that I didn't even give an inaugural speech. An inaugural speech is a big, long speech that you say when you become president. It was a very sad and exciting time for me. Everyone was mourning the president's death, but they were happy to have a new one. Once again, though, things went sad. My wife, Leticia, had a stroke. There was nothing we could do, and on September 10, 1842, she died. She was the first wife of a president to die during her husband's presidency. 1 year later, I met another woman named Julia Gardner. I loved her very much, though I missed Leticia. I proposed to her, but she refused. She thought that we shouldn't get married because I was 30 years older than her. In 1844, though, Julia changed her mind. Julia, her father, and I were on a ship called the Princeton. Suddenly, one of the guns exploded, killing 8 people on board. One of the 8 was Mr. Gardner, Julia's father. Julia then accepted my offer. Now she wouldn't be so sad. We got married. In 1845, my presidency was up. James K. Polk was elected. I moved my family to Sherwood Forest. I added a whole new ballroom just for Julia. We had the longest frame house in America, 300 feet long. In 14 years, Julia had 7 kids. Now we had 15 children. Mary, Robert, John, Leticia, Elizabeth, Anne, Alice, Tazewell, David, John Alexander, Julia, Lachlan, Lion, Robert Fitzgerald, and Pearl. Our family had the most children any president had ever had. In 1860, Abe Lincoln was elected. Someone invited me to become chairman of the Peace Convention. My wife, Julia, warned me that she had a dream about an illness that she thought I was going to get. I just laughed and ignored it. But I did get an illness right before I became chairman of the Peace. My last words to my wife were, Love piled upon love will not convey an idea of my affection for you. I died on January 18, 1862. I had an amazing life, and I hope this speech will help you remember the 10th president.
Wow. Questions?
Yes. Any questions, anyone?
President Tyler?
Yes.
What was your nickname again?
Old Tippecanoe,
Interesting.
I'm not sure.
That's nicknames.
Very interesting. Any other questions?
Oh, go ahead.
How old were you when you died?
I'll check the family Bible.
Hard to remember after you're dead.
Yeah.
Any other ones? Last one, last questions. Going, gone!
All right, well, thank you, President Tyler.